Welcome back to the deep dive. I hope you're ready to travel today because we are setting our coordinates for the rugged, windswept coast of Maine.
I can almost smell the salt in the air.
Right. Specifically, we're heading to Bar Harbor. And we aren't just traveling through space, we are dialing the time circuits back to the spring of 1991.
That's a very specific time and place, and honestly, a very specific mood. It's not today, it's not the 80s. It's its own little pocket of time.
It really is. We have a massive stack of source material today centered on the story Courting Catherine. Now, this is the first entry in the famous Calhoun family saga. And looking through these notes, reading through the research, it feels like we are about to witness a masterclass in collision.
Collision is the perfect word for it. It's not a gentle meeting. It's not a slow burn.
Not at all.
You have two completely different worlds, two different philosophies smashing into each other at high speed. It's physics, really. An unstoppable force meeting an immovable object.
Exactly. So on one side, you have the corporate raider, Trenton St. James III. And let's be honest, that name alone tells you everything you need to know about it.
Oh, absolutely. It's not Trent James. It's Trenton St. James.
The third.
The third. It screams old money, boardrooms, and probably a family crest somewhere.
And on the other side, you have the defender of the hearth, Catherine C.C. Calhoun. A completely different energy.
And caught right in the middle of this collision is the towers.
The estate itself.
Right. It's this crumbling, majestic, maybe slightly terrifying family estate perched on the cliffs of Maine. The notes describe it as a place that is barely holding a family of 4 sisters together while it is literally falling apart around them.
So the house is the battlefield.
It's the battlefield, it's the prize, it's the anchor, it's everything. It is the stakes of the entire game.
It's such a classic setup, isn't it? But what makes this deep dive so fascinating and why we wanted to spend some real time on it today is that we aren't just looking at a property dispute. That would be, interesting enough. But we are looking at a genre blend. You have the romance, obviously, that's the engine driving the whole thing. But then there is this heavy layer of family drama, a touch of the supernatural, and a historical mystery that spans 80 years.
That is the part I really want to dig into, because usually in these types of stories, the romance is the only thing that matters. The setting is just window dressing. But here, the past is almost as loud as the present. It's constantly echoing.
So here is our mission for this deep dive. We are going to analyze the source material to understand how these incredibly strong character dynamics drive the narrative. We want to explore this heavy theme of prejudice versus attraction because, let me tell you, these two characters judge each other so hard right out of the gate.
They absolutely do. It's prejudice at first sight. And we have to unpack the parallel narrative structure you mentioned. We aren't just looking at CC and Trent fighting it out in 1991. We have access to the historical journal entries of CC's great-grandmother, Bianca Calhoun, from 1912.
Which is where it gets really interesting because you see these patterns, you see history trying to repeat itself, and you wonder if the characters in the present can actually break the cycle.
Can they learn from the past, or are they doomed to make the same mistakes?
Right. So our objective is to explore how duty, family loyalty, and frankly, the terrifying fear of vulnerability shape the decisions of these people.
It always comes down to vulnerability, doesn't it?
It really does. Shall we start with the players? Because the friction starts the moment they occupy the same space.
Let's do it.
Okay, section 1. The protagonists and the meet-hate.
Meet-hate. I like that term. It's much more accurate than meet-cute. There's nothing cute about this.
Not a single thing. So in the blue corner, we have Trenton St. James III. Now, from the sources, we get a very, very clear picture of this guy. We're calling him the persona for our dive. He is a Boston businessman. His family is in the hotel tycoon business. And on this particular day, he is having a very, very bad day.
A bad day is an understatement. And to understand why it's a bad day, you have to understand Trent. This is a man who is used to absolute control. He expects doors to open for him, phones to be answered on the first ring, and the world to run on his meticulously planned schedule.
He's practical, ruthless in business, and he's accustomed to obedience. But here is the key psychological insight from the text, the thing that really defines him. He is deeply cynical about marriage.
That's a crucial detail. It's not just that he's a bachelor, it's that he's philosophically opposed to the entire institution. It's not for him.
Why, though? The sources are specific.
It comes from his father, who is currently going through his 4th divorce. So to Trent, marriage isn't a partnership or romance. It's a bad business transaction that always ends in messy litigation. It's a guaranteed loss.
He literally calls it suicide in the text, which is, a bit dramatic.
A little bit. He also views emotions as unproductive, which is just, wow. Imagine living like that. Anything that can't be put on a spreadsheet is basically worthless to him.
So picture this guy. He's wearing an expensive gray suit, probably custom tailored. He's got on Italian leather shoes, which becomes a plot point later, and he's driving a sleek silver BMW. He is the master of his universe.
So the universe decides to humble him.
Exactly. His BMW breaks down not in Boston, not near a friendly dealership. It breaks down on a 2-lane road 10 miles from Bar Harbor.
And for a guy like Trent, a car breaking down isn't just an inconvenience. It's a personal insult from the cosmos. It's a failure of the machine, which means a failure of his judgment for buying the machine.
It's a loss of control. He has to ride in a tow truck with a guy named Hank, who is, according to the text, singing off-key rock music.
The visual here is just great. Trent is sitting there in his perfect suit, clutching his briefcase like a life preserver. He is completely out of his element before he even arrives at the scene of the crime, so to speak.
So he's headed to Bar Harbor to acquire the towers. He wants to turn it into a luxury resort. It's just a deal to him. Another property. He has the stats. He has the plan. He just needs to get the current owners out of the way.
And the tow truck driver, Hank, takes him to the only garage around, a place called CC's Automation.
Which brings us to the red corner, Catherine C.C. Calhoun.
The absolute polar opposite of Trent.
C.C. is awesome. She is the youngest of the Calhoun sisters. She's a mechanic. She owns the business, so she's an entrepreneur in her own right.
Which is important. She's not just an employee.
Right. She is hot-tempered, fiercely protective of her home and family, and she breaks every single gender stereotype Trent has in his head.
The visual description in the source is really evocative. She's wearing greasy coveralls, she has short dark hair, green eyes, and the text makes a point of noting that under all the grime, she is built like a goddess.
It's this mix of grit and beauty that eventually throws Trent completely off balance. But not yet.
Oh no, not yet.
Because this leads us right into the inciting incident, the garage scene. It's one of the best character introductions I've read in a long time.
Okay, so Trent walks into the garage. It smells like grease and honeysuckle, which, by the way, is a fantastic sensory detail to set the scene.
It's the perfect mix of her world, the machine and the garden.
Exactly. He's there to pick up his car. He's annoyed. He's impatient. He's expecting a male mechanic, some guy named CC. He sees a pair of work boots sticking out from under his BMW, tapping to the beat of some loud rock music.
And because he's Trent, and because he's had a bad day, and because he assumes he's dealing with a subordinate, he starts bossing this person around without even seeing their face.
He assumes competence is male. He treats the mechanic dismissively, tapping his expensive Italian shoe on the concrete floor. But what's fascinating here is the immediate clash of competencies.
Yes. Talk about that.
Trent lectures the mechanic on car maintenance from a user's perspective. He claims he's a busy man, and this breakdown shouldn't have happened, as if it's the car's fault for inconveniencing him. But the voice from under the car fires right back.
Oh, she destroys him. She doesn't even come out at first. Her voice is just this, disembodied force of competence.
She rolls out on the creeper, covered in grease, holding a wrench, and tells him his car is a mess. She says, and this is a great line, "You don't just buy a car, you buy a responsibility." She calls him out for being a rich yuppie who doesn't know the difference between a carburetor and a tire iron.
It's a total clash of values. Trent values the purchase, the acquisition. CC values the maintenance, the work, the responsibility.
Trent values the status the car gives him. CC values the engine itself.
And then comes the reveal. The moment Trent realizes this young man he's been lecturing is a woman, and at the exact same time, CC realizes that this guy in the Italian shoes, she hates the shoes immediately, which is so telling, is Trenton St. James III.
The enemy.
The guy coming to take her house. The name on all the legal documents her sister Amanda has been stressing over.
The dialogue here is just electric. CC literally threatens to drill holes in his muffler if she had known who he was before she fixed the car. She's all fire and fury. But Trent, he doesn't raise his voice. He goes ice cold.
That's his defense mechanism, right? He retreats into formality.
Exactly. His temper isn't hot, it's freezing. He becomes polite, but it's a weaponized politeness. He uses etiquette to create distance, to try and make her feel small or unrefined. He calls her Miss Calhoun.
That is such a good way to put it. Weaponized politeness. He's so composed, and she is ripping up his copy of the credit card receipt. She tells him to get his greedy corporate hands off her house. But Trent drops a bomb on her.
A huge one. He reveals that he was invited.
Not by CC, obviously.
No, by her Aunt Coco. This shifts the power dynamic immediately. Cece thinks she's defending the castle against the siege, but she just found out the drawbridge was already lowered from the inside.
Poor Aunt Coco. Well, actually, maybe poor Cece.
Right.
Let's unpack the family dynamic here, because you really can't understand Cece's rage without understanding the Calhoun women and where they live.
Let's do it. Section 2. The setting and the family dynamic. The Towers is essentially the fifth character in this story.
It absolutely is. It's described as a mix of an English manor and Dracula's castle.
Which is a vibe. I mean, that tells you it's both grand and a little spooky.
It's majestic. It's sitting on a cliff overlooking Frenchman Bay, but it is falling apart. The sources are so specific here, they mention crumbling stone, watermarks on the silk wallpaper.
And mouse holes that they have to hide with drapes. It's a perfect physical manifestation of the family's situation.
It's a money pit, but it represents their pride. The Calhouns are land rich and cash poor. They are drowning in taxes and maintenance costs. The house is literally eating them alive.
And this sets up the central conflict for the family even before Trent shows up. You have this core dilemma. They love the house. It's their heritage. Their entire identity is tied up in it. But Amanda, the practical sister, knows they cannot afford to keep it.
Let's quickly run through the support system, the sisters, because they all represent a different facet of this problem. You mentioned Amanda.
Amanda is the pragmatist. She's the assistant hotel manager at a local place. She's organized.
Yeah.
And she's the one staring at the red ink in the family ledger. She's the reality check of the group.
She's the Trent of the family, in a way.
In a way, yes. She's the one who says feelings are nice, but they don't pay the property tax.
Then there is Susanna, the eldest.
Susanna is the mother figure. She creates and tends the beautiful gardens around the towers. But she's damaged. The notes are very clear that she's divorced from a wealthy, cruel man named Baxter Dumont.
So Susanna represents the scorned woman archetype in a way. She's gun-shy about rich, powerful men, which definitely feeds into Cece's prejudice against Trent. She sees Trent and she just sees another Baxter.
Exactly. She's the cautionary tale.
And Lila.
Lila is the free spirit. She's a naturalist. She believes in astrology, crystals, reincarnation. She provides the spiritual glue for the family. She's less concerned with the mortgage and more concerned with the house's aura.
She's the opposite of Amanda, the heart versus the head.
Completely. And overseeing it all is Aunt Coco, the matriarch, the guardian.
She is a piece of work.
Oh, she is something else. She's scheming, she's romantic, and she believes in fate, but she's not afraid to give fate a little push.
A giant shove, more like.
A giant shove. She invited Trent not just to sell the house, but, and get this, to marry him off to one of her nieces.
It's such a Pride and Prejudice move. Mrs. Bennet would be so proud. She's trying to marry off her girls to save the family estate.
She isn't just looking for a buyer. She's looking for a savior, a financial and, romantic one. And she identifies CC as the primary candidate almost immediately.
Even though they hate each other on sight.
Because they hate each other. Coco sees the sparks. She said something in the text about how a roaring fire is better than no fire at all. She knows that hate is closer to passion than indifference is.
That is a dangerous game she is playing with Cece's life. But there is another layer adding pressure here. This isn't just about the current family. It's about the shadow of the past. This is where we get into the historical parallel. We have to talk about Bianca Calhoun.
Let's do it. Section 3. This is the B plot that mirrors the A plot so perfectly. Interspersed with a 1991 narrative are these beautiful, sad journal entries from 1912 written by Cece's great-grandmother Bianca.
And Bianca's situation in 1912 mirrors the present day in a really tragic way. She is married to Fergus Calhoun, the guy who built the towers. And based on the notes, Fergus sounds a lot like Trent, or at least the man Trent is in danger of becoming.
The parallels are undeniable. The journal entries describe Fergus as cold, business-minded, obsessed with status and proper behavior. Bianca writes about how lonely she is in this giant stone house. She describes her husband as a good provider, but emotionally distant. A wall.
So just like Cece is struggling with her unwelcome feelings for a man she should hate, Bianca falls in love with someone else, a poor artist named Christian Bradford whom she meets on the cliffs.
It's the classic forbidden love story. But unlike Cece, Bianca is trapped. She's a married woman with children in 1912. The social constraints are absolute. She cannot act on her feelings. She is bound by duty.
And this brings us to the Calhoun emeralds.
The MacGuffin of the story. It's a legendary necklace given to Bianca by Fergus. It's supposed to be this priceless family heirloom.
But look at how she describes it in her journal. Bianca writes that the necklace felt like a shackle, like a beautiful, glittering leash.
That symbolism is so heavy.
It is. To Fergus, the emeralds are a display of wealth and possession. It's basically him saying, look what I can afford to hang on my wife. It's a transaction.
To Bianca, they represent the weight of her loveless marriage. They are a symbol of her cage.
But in the present day, that shackle is a potential lifeline. The legend is that the necklace was lost or hidden by Bianca somewhere in the towers before she died, and she tragically threw herself from the tower window.
It's a very dark history hanging over this house.
Yeah.
But the family, especially Lila and Coco, believe the necklace is still there. If they can find Bianca's hidden treasure box, they might be able to pay off their debts and save the towers without selling to Trent.
This all comes to a head in a very atmospheric, very gothic scene, the seance.
Of course there is a seance. It wouldn't be a gothic romance without one. And Coco organizes it during a storm, naturally.
It has to be a storm, with rattling windows and everything.
They're all sitting around the massive dining table holding hands. Trent is there, totally skeptical, probably rolling his eyes internally. He's the man of logic and reason. He thinks it's just a parlor game to manipulate him.
But then things get weird. The temperature in the room drops. The source material is very specific here. Trent, the pragmatist, feels a physical sensation. He feels a hand, a cold hand, placed over his and Cece's joined hands.
It's not just in Cece's head, he feels it too. And Cece actually has a vision of the necklace. She describes it in vivid detail. 2 tiers of square-cut emeralds, surrounded by diamond brilliance.
Now, how does Trent, the man of logic, handle this direct contradiction to his worldview?
He denies it. It's a classic case of cognitive dissonance. He feels the cold, he feels the hand, but his worldview doesn't allow for ghosts. So he dismisses it as mass hallucination or a trick of the storm.
But you can tell he's rattled.
Oh, he's deeply rattled. And not just by the ghost. He's rattled by the connection with Cece. Holding her hand during that intense supernatural moment created a bond that logic can't explain away. And that scares him more than any ghost.
Because it's a vulnerability. If he admits he felt the ghost, he has to admit he doesn't know everything, that he can't control everything.
Exactly. And for Trent, that's terrifying.
Okay, let's unpack the romance, because things escalate really quickly after this. The battle lines are drawn, but now they're all tangled up with attraction. We call this section the war.
It is a war. And Cece decides to go on the offensive after the garage incident. She tries to scare Trent off by giving him a tour of the most dilapidated, haunted parts of the house.
She takes him up to the tower where Bianca died. The door is warped from a century of salt and damp, and this is a classic romance trope forced proximity. They get stuck trying to open the door.
It's the warped door moment. Trent has to reach around her to pull the heavy door, and suddenly they are pressed together in this tiny, dark space. The text describes the air getting thick.
Cece is terrified, not of him, but of her own attraction to him. She feels a physical spark that she describes as touching a live wire. She can smell his cologne. She can feel the heat from his body.
She realizes she is in serious trouble. The hate is starting to feel like something else entirely.
But she shakes it off. She pushes him away. Then comes the garden argument. This is pivotal.
And Coco meddling again. Bless her heart. Forces them to take a walk in the moonlight after dinner.
It's this beautiful romantic setup with roses and the sound of the ocean, which they immediately turn into a boxing ring.
Cece just unloads on him. This is where the class conflict really explodes. She accuses him of being a type-rich, uncaring, a guy who probably has mistresses and sees women as acquisitions.
She is actually projecting all her anger and fear about her sister Susanna's horrible ex-husband, Baxter Dumont, onto Trent. She's not even seeing him anymore. She's seeing a ghost of rich men past.
She tells him she didn't like his shoes or his tie. It's so petty, but it's so real. She's flailing. She is trying to find any reason she can to hate him because the alternative is just too scary.
And Trent... well, Trent finally snaps. But he doesn't yell. That's not his style.
No. He kisses her.
We have to look at the psychology of this. Originally, it's intended as a power move, right? It's a way to dominate the conversation, to shut her up.
It's the ultimate shut up and let me handle this move. He thinks he can just overpower her arguments with a physical act.
But it backfires spectacularly.
For both of them, instead of silencing her, it ignites a moment of genuine, overwhelming passion. The source says it was like sliding into molten silver. It shocks both of them with its intensity. It's not a power move anymore, it's a connection.
And then, true to form, Trent ruins it. The second the kiss is over, he ruins it.
He apologizes.
The polite apology, the weaponized politeness again. Why does he do that? What is going through his head?
He pulls back and apologizes for his inexcusable behavior. He's trying to regain control. He's filing the moment away under mistakes. He's trying to put it back in a box that his logical brain can handle.
But to CC, this is the ultimate insult. It completely dismisses the connection they just shared. It treats a moment of earth-shattering passion as a simple breach of etiquette.
She would have preferred him to be a jerk about it, to gloat, but being polite just makes her feel small, like she was a momentary lapse in his perfect judgment.
It's devastating. But the dynamic shifts again in what I think is maybe the most intimate scene in the sources, the garage first aid scene.
I agree. Trent goes back to the garage. He says it's about the car, but it's not.
It's never about the car.
Never. CC scrapes her knuckles while working on an engine because he startles her or because she was flustered by his presence. It's a small injury.
And he insists on tending to her wound. They go into this tiny, cramped bathroom in the back of the garage. He's washing her grease-stained hand in the sink, carefully bandaging it. It's incredibly intimate, much more so than the grand, dramatic garden scene.
It's caretaking. You can't be a corporate raider when you are gently putting a Band-Aid on someone's hand. It peels back the persona.
And in that small space, they have an honest conversation. Or at least Trent's version of honesty.
Right. He warns her that her Aunt Coco is trying to set them up. He admits he's attracted to her, but he explicitly rules out marriage. He lays his cards on the table. He tells her marriage is unproductive and suicide.
He's trying to manage expectations. In his mind, he thinks he's being fair. I want you, but I can't give you forever, so let's be clear about the terms of this transaction.
And Cece's pride just kicks into overdrive. She rejects his assumption that marriage is even on her mind. She feigns disinterest to protect her ego. She basically lies and says she isn't interested anyway, so he doesn't need to worry.
But deep down, she is falling for him. Hard.
And frankly, so is he, even if he won't admit it to himself. And the thing that finally cracks his armor isn't a kiss, it isn't an argument, it's a dog.
Ah, yes. Section 5, the turning point. The puppy incident.
This is the moment Cece's defenses just crumble.
Trent is walking on the cliffs, trying to clear his head because he can't stop thinking about CC and the kiss and the seance, and he hears whimpering coming from down the cliff face.
And he climbs down these dangerous, slippery rocks. He ruins his expensive Italian shoes. He tears his suit, all for a sound.
To save a stray puppy that's fallen and gotten stuck.
And Cece sees this. She's out looking for him, worried. And she sees him coming back up the path with this little ball of fur zipped inside his expensive jacket to keep it warm.
It just breaks her image of him as a cold corporate robot.
You can't be a villain if you rescue a puppy. It's like a universal rule. It humanizes him instantly and completely.
They name the dog Fred. And seeing Trent be so tender with this little animal, it mirrors the hidden warmth he is suppressing. She sees a man he could be, not just the man he presents to the world.
It lowers Cece's defenses completely. She thinks, okay, he's not Fergus, he's not Baxter, he is capable of love and gentleness. And that conviction leads directly to the big mistake.
Oh, this part hurts to read. It's so raw. Cece goes to Trent's room at night, after the puppy rescue, after the seance. She is overwhelmed by everything, by her feelings.
And she just puts it all on the line. She tells him she loves him. She basically offers herself to him, heart and soul.
And Trent rejects her. He stops it before it goes too far. He refuses to sleep with her.
But we have to look at why. From the outside, it looks like a cold, cruel jerk move. But in his own twisted, logical, and emotionally stunted way, it's the most noble thing he does in the entire story up to that point.
Explain that.
He realizes she is innocent, not just physically, but emotionally. He realizes that for her, this isn't casual fling, it's a commitment. It's a seal. For her, making love means forever.
And because he believes he cannot offer commitment because of his cynical views on marriage, he refuses to take advantage of her. He won't take something he can't or won't pay back in kind.
Exactly. He refuses to take the seal, knowing he'd just break it.
But to CC, in that moment, it's humiliating. She feels like she threw herself at him, and he politely handed her back her heart like a coat she'd left behind.
But she doesn't break down. She pulls herself together with this incredible dignity. She tells him, "You're politely handing back something you'll never have again." It's a moment of profound strength for her. She pities him for being unable to accept love. She sees his logic for what it really is. Cowardice.
So things are bleak. The romance is completely stalled. He's rejected her. And then the hammer drops on the house. Section 6, the resolution of the arc.
Amanda calls a family meeting. The numbers are in. The finances are hopeless. They have to sell to St. James immediately or the bank will foreclose and they'll get nothing.
TC is devastated. She loses her home and the man she loves in one single terrible moment.
But she doesn't crumble. And this is why Cece is such a great character. She decides to go out fighting. Not with fists, not with wrenches, but with a red dress.
The red dress. This is the cinematic climax of her emotional journey. She agrees to a final friendly dinner with Trent to sign papers or finalize the details of the sale.
And she decides she will not look like a victim. She trades her greasy coveralls for a tight, beaded red dress borrowed from her sister Susanna.
It's a total transformation scene. She does her hair, she puts on makeup and high heels. When Trent sees her come down the grand staircase at the towers, he is stunned. He's completely blown away.
He realizes in that moment that he isn't just losing a feisty mechanic or an interesting nuisance. He is losing a vibrant, beautiful, complex woman. He's losing a goddess.
But it's not for him, is it, the transformation?
No, it's armor. She's saying, you can take my house, but you cannot break me. I'm going to look my absolute best while my world burns down around me.
The dinner date is excruciatingly polite. It's painful to read. Cece is chatting about whale watching and telling funny stories about her eccentric Irish relatives. She is keeping it so light. Meanwhile, Trent is miserable.
The irony is just palpable. He has won. He got the house. He escaped the marriage trap. He has achieved every single goal he set out with when he came to Bar Harbor.
And he feels like he's lost everything that matters.
Exactly. The prize feels like ashes in his mouth.
And then comes the goodbye on the porch of the towers. Trent is desperate. He feels her slipping away for good, and he finally cracks a little. He actually asks her to come to Boston with him.
But he fumbles it. He still hasn't learned the right language. CC, needing clarity, asks him straight out if he means for an affair. Do you want a mistress, Trent?
And because he can't promise marriage, because he's still trapped by his father's failures.
He can't say no, forever. He's trapped in his own logic. He stammers. He says things like, we could see what happens.
And Cece shuts it down with her pride intact. She kisses him one last time, not a kiss of passion, but a kiss of proof, just to show him exactly what he is throwing away.
And she leaves him standing alone on the porch of the house he now owns with the best exit line ever. I hope to God that keeps you up at night.
And it does. It works like a curse.
It's the perfect ending for this chapter of the story.
Let's talk about the aftermath. Section 7. We jump forward 3 weeks. Trent is back in his own world in Boston.
He is back in his high-rise office. He has the repaired BMW, the new Italian shoes, the signed deal for the towers. He won.
And he is absolutely miserable.
The sources describe him just staring out the window, distracted, unhappy. But there's a subtle change in him. His secretary, a woman named Angela, notices it.
This is a small but vital moment in the narrative. Trent, the guy who treats his staff like efficient machines, starts asking Angela about her family. He asks about her husband, her kids.
He's trying to understand. He's seeking new data. And Angela gives him the key to the entire lock. She explains that she and her husband are happy, not because they are perfectly compatible on paper, but because they love each other. She tells him that love is what pulls you through the rough spots.
It's a completely different model of marriage than the one his father provided. It counters his entire worldview that marriage is doomed to fail. It directly contradicts his father's example of serial divorce.
He realizes his practical life is empty. The logic that kept him safe has also kept him in a prison.
It's the cliffhanger. He realizes he has the acquisition, he has the money, but he is the loser in the emotional transaction. Cece lost the house and the guy, yet she retained her pride and her capacity for love. She is whole.
Trent has all the assets, but he is spiritually bankrupt.
Yeah.
He's the one who's truly broken.
So what does this all mean? Let's wrap this up with some key takeaways from this deep dive.
Well, I think the core takeaway for me is the contrast between the sensible and the emotional ways of living. Trent and Amanda represent the sensible approach: safety, logic, numbers, risk aversion.
Right. Do the smart thing.
Do the smart thing. Cece, Lila, and Aunt Coco represent the emotional risk, passion, faith, stubbornness. And I think the story ultimately validates the emotional approach. Logic might keep you safe. It might get you the real estate deal, but it leaves you cold and alone in a high-rise office staring out a window. Emotion is messy. It gets your heart broken. It gets your family into debt. But it's the only thing that makes life worth living. It's what connects you to other people.
And we can't forget the role of the past. Bianca's journal isn't just flavor text to make the story feel old. It's a warning. It's a ghost story in more ways than one.
Yes, absolutely. Bianca chose duty over love, and she ended up jumping out of a window. She lived a life of quiet desperation. Cece and Trent are in danger of repeating that history, the loveless duty of his business world versus the risky passion she offers.
Exactly. If Trent doesn't wake up and change his entire operating system, he is going to become Fergus Calhoun, rich, powerful, and utterly alone in a big, empty house.
And I think the final point is about strength. The real strength in this story wasn't Trent's money or his power in the boardroom. It wasn't Cece's physical strength as a mechanic. It was the emotional courage to admit vulnerability.
Cece found that courage. She was brave enough to say, I love you, even when it was risky. She got hurt, but she was brave. Trent is still searching for that courage. He's still hiding behind his logic.
That's the deep dives right there. Success isn't about the acquisition, it's about the connection.
Well said.
Thanks.
So, here is a final thought for you listeners to mull over. We live in a world that, it often prioritizes the trends. We value the hustle, the logic, the smart business move. So I want you to consider the concept of success. Trent has the BMW, the Italian shoes, the skyscraper office, he got the deal. Cece has a struggling garage, a crumbling house she just lost, and grease under her fingernails. But at the end of this story, who do you really want to be? The person safe in the tower or the person brave enough to jump?
I know which one I'd choose. It's not the one with the better balance sheet.
Me too. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into courting, Catherine. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye, everyone.